Training platform and actually share quite a lot in common with these guys and things we're doing. We're based out of Projector, which is a VR space on Courtney Place, which is lots of different things going on, lots of fun. If you want to come and check out some things there, it's a good place to come. And we're very much focused on the training space, and it's a platform for other people to be able to make training resources, or organisations making their own training tools, mostly for kind of real life experiences or things where you want somebody to experience what the situation or scenario is going to be. So we've been piloting for about a year, and now we're into the production stage of the next version, which we're seeing you all dancing. Lots of just going around and seeing how people could use this kind of technology. So we've done some inducting aircraft engineers on aircraft and showing kind of safety procedures. We've been doing helicopter landings, so the Defence Force have an issue where you have to train staff on baggies and what it's like to unload a helicopter. Helicopters are very expensive, very hard to come by, half the time they don't turn up. So it's a way of practicing what happens under the helicopter, the procedure that you have to go through, which could just be done on a mobile phone or in a headset, and saves the $25,000 an hour if it's helicopter tuning it. Things that kind of get taught, so with corrections, probation officers, they have to go into new houses, they have to keep safe, check for weapons, deal with dogs, deal with other people might not be there, they have to check if somebody's not supposed to be drinking. All the things that we have to go through are currently trained in a presentation like this, 6 months before they go into the field, and they're given a piece of paper, check the dogs, things like that. And it's like anything, until you've done it 2 or 3 times with somebody, you're not very confident, you're never going to remember everything you're supposed to do. So it's a way to practice all of that, to go through the process, get to the door, check the dogs. If somebody goes to let you in, make sure you're the person to go behind them so you can close the door and you can check the lock. All the little things that are really hard to remember unless you do it in real life. We've been doing checking for asbestos, going around looking at your houses, checking for asbestos and the places you might find it and showing what it looks like. We've been doing settling students, so what it's like for an international student to come to New Zealand, all the things that you might not think of, things like getting on a bus apparently is a big issue, paying for things, just all the different interactions with locals that people might be scared of, just ways to simulate and experience that in a way that's kind of safe to themselves. We've been doing health and safety inductions in places that are really hard to get to, or somebody has to show you, they're very time consuming, they're labour intensive, nothing is recorded. That's been a big thing, is often on inductions, it's legally you have to do it and you're supposed to be showing everything, but if somebody forgets it or they've changed their mind on what's important, or they didn't understand it in the first place, you can get a completely indifferent induction to what legally the organisation thought you were showing. So it's a way of recording that, yes, we were showing it, these are the fire alarms, you click on them, they'll acknowledge that you've seen them. And then we've been doing quite a lot in the medical training space. So again, places where things that are really hard or expensive to simulate, things that people need to practice are currently very academic, but a way of seeing it unfold in front of you and making decisions on the fly based on the information that you may have in the room. So e-learning in education is quite dry, it's quite old school, it hasn't really changed that much over the years. It's quite fertile for kind of somebody to come along and change things. And typically there's things being very paper-based, classroom-based, lots of forms, lots of just ticking to show that you've done something, being assessed by spending a certain amount of time in a room without actually having assessed of what you've done in that room. And then when the best way to train someone is to show in real life, is to take them to this room and put them there and have somebody dying in front of you and trying to fix them, but obviously that's really expensive and difficult. So we're trying to create something that's somewhere between the real world and somewhere between e-learning as it is taking a lot of the theories of both and putting together. VR is really good for this kind of thing. It's some things people have said, like it's really good to have somebody stuck in there, like they can't concentrate on something else until they finish the course. Especially dealing with millennials that like playing on their phones, it's having somebody that's more playing a phone and you can assess. Things that are best shown as an experience is really suitable for VR. There's lots of things being done in VR don't need to be done, and people are trying things all the time now. But training seems to be a really good use for it. We're using, like a lot of people, mobile devices, low-cost headsets, cheap 360 video cameras, just for making this stuff really accessible. Things that people can produce themselves quickly, easily, and not too expensively. I'll show you some this medical training. So this is White Matter DXB. This is junior doctor training for situations and scenarios where typically the doctors will do this training, but they'll get 5 doctors off the floor, have to get 5 locums in, put them in a room and practice these scenarios. It's very expensive, doesn't happen very often, needs to happen more, so this is a way of getting that. So we have multiple choice answers at the moment, but these are going to voice next, so you can do all your answering with voice and different things.
Correct. Ventricular tachycardia, VT, is a shockable rhythm, and you want to deliver a shock straight away before continuing CPR.
Okay, Lee, deliver a shock. Keep prepare to change your stomach compression. Yeah.
This is a different scenario. This is and these are kind of interactive things that you can add in and drop in, so lots of things you can look at, click on, pop up.
Now let's debrief on what happened.
And we finish with debriefs every scenario, so you
Mrs.
go
Cameron
through
is
what
a
happened,
67-year-old
explain.
female who was admitted with a chest infection. She'd been complaining of palpitations, and her ECG showed that she was in AF with a fast ventricular response. We assessed for signs of decompensation.
So that's one. So there's 5 modules in that training experience. Typically, you'll go through a situation and you'll be presented with multiple choice. There's the right answer, which is perfect, and you go through to the next stage. There is less right answers, where it's kind of good, but it's maybe an old way of doing things, where they'll explain to you, oh, it's kind of right, think again, it's the wrong dosage, more adrenaline or something. And then there's really bad answers where it all goes wrong and they die, and you have to go back to the start. And then, so that we have multiple choice answers you look at. The next version is you just say the answer. So we're using some voice recognition and also we're doing more things like they want to, in the debriefs, they want you to practice explaining what happened in there to someone else. So you use your voice to explain your process and what you're thinking, and that's using the assessment, especially for where English is a second language, your ability to be able to communicate with other doctors or other departments and explain what the problem is. So there's been a study. We've done some trials with this piece of work, and it's going through another study. I think there's about 30 doctors that have gone through it. They're all, these are all very clever people. They adopted this quite quickly. They are a particular market, but it needs to be available to all kinds of people. And really, what was quite useful with doctors is that they're very academic. They've been to university for a long time. They're just finishing this process. They're just out into the real world. The thing they face is that unless you see an anaphylactic shock in your doctor training, the first time you see it is in the real world, where you are the doctor in charge, and you're having to remember the training. So the idea was ways of kind of practicing what would happen in a situation if you don't see it in your apprenticeship. And we had lots of feedback, lots of kind of interesting stuff that came out, and it's really helped design kind of the next phase of this product. But lots of things was around confidence, like people feeling more confident that they've seen what happens in a situation. They have an idea of how it could play out, and feeling like they go out to the wards, then they're more able to deal with the situation. And lots of things where people thought they knew it really well, and it turned out they didn't. So a way of testing that's very different from the standard way of testing, which I suppose you think more in an exam. Lots of things about knowledge retention. So seeing like the result of your answer in kind of what happens when you ask the nurse to go and perform something, how long that takes, what the impact's like to be, what the process is, all kind of helps with knowledge retention, because it's not just a tick answer, it's seeing what the result's going to be. And one thing that I think all over the training industry people are trying to get to is the idea that you learn on demand. So you learn when you think about it. It's not, you don't get packed away in a room like this for a week, pumped full of information, have a lovely time, and remember like 5% of it. It's things where you have a little 10-minute course, you're thinking about, what happens in an anaphylactic shock, and you practice it again. So we had people saying they were doing it on the plane. Things that's almost fun. If it's something that's you're interested in, it's your work, it's an experience that you want to practice, it's almost like a game and it's fun. So trying to get to the space where people will do these things for entertainment. So this is all going into a new platform. And loads of the kind of feedback that came from the things that we thought were going to be important in doing that work. We thought it was all going to be about health and safety inductions, but it turns out that's not such a big deal. But situation training, scenario training, people skills, this has all become obviously more important. And so the platform that's very close to being finished is around defining learning objectives, what you need somebody to know. The app helps you record all of the content, so video, audio, photographs, whatever's most appropriate for the thing you're trying to train. Then you just drag and drop into a little framework to make a course. Put in some tasks, so typically tasks will be a multiple choice answer, saying an answer, clicking on something in a room, something that kind of assesses your ability to do that. This then gives you your results, and we integrate into learning management systems and different systems so that you can pull those results in and access them to see what people have learned. And also, if it's just basic instructions and basic things, just get an email to say this person did this test and however people want to get that information. The next part is also kind of like pick a path. So you can have lots of different situations. So where we had like a right answer, great, a wrong answer, you're dead. Now we have wrong answer, go to a different scenario, and that can play out, and you can get there eventually. It might be okay, but you have to do some more work to get there, or it could be the right answer and you just get straight through it, or that you can go back to a scene where something happens. So more like trying to kind of replicate what would happen in a real life scenario. And then there's there's two ways of looking at it. Some organisations need things to be very secure, so the correction stuff we can't show, the defensible stuff we can't show. So it has to be locked down, very internal. We can put it onto their own servers, so it never leaves their network. And then some things we're making very social, so making it into a Facebook app as well, so you can do courses on Facebook. Make things public, and also like a store, so if some people want to make courses and sell them to other organisations, like little modules, so people can create their own training resources and sell them on. That's it.